Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's apple season with so many varieties to choose from, tasty varieties to choose from. How do you know which ones are actually the best? Here with his always helpful tips, we welcome back produce expert Josh Alsberg. Great to see you.
You too. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning. This looks fabulous.
It is a lovely time of year.
Yeah.
I got to say apples, I mean, aside from like the berries and the peaches, apples really are my favorite time of year.
I get it.
And, you know, I could probably go on for years about apples. We love them so much, we named our store after one of them.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, but everybody's really very familiar with the Honeycrisp apple that we've brought here. Your kids probably love it. Your kids, your grandkids. This is like everybody's favorite of the apples that you can find in the store. But what we want to talk about today are 5 apples that you're going to want to look for that you're not going to find in every grocery store.
By the way, I have to make so Rubinette is the name of your store.
Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to make
We're
sure.
going to talk about the Rubinette apple here in a minute.
People are going to ask me, so I just have to get that. Okay, so
So the Honeycrisp. Everybody loves that one.
Yeah.
So the other 5 apples we're going to talk. So 2 are what's called apples of antiquity. So they're heirloom apples that have been around for hundreds of years.
Oh, okay.
And then 3 of the apples we're going to talk about have been sort of created, if you will, throughout the time.
Oh, interesting.
But you know, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to take the apples and create things. So my wife made this really delicious crisp.
This is an apple crisp. What apples did she use in her apple crisp?
So mostly she used this lovely Mountain Rose apple here that I'm holding up. So the Mountain Rose here, I'm going to cut this open in a minute.
Sure.
It's kind of beautiful but yet plain looking on the outside here, but what we're going to do is cut this nice lovely apple open, and I'm going to show you the wonderful feature on the inside. It is this beautiful almost watermelon color inside when you open that up.
Wow.
Look at that. And
that's really pretty.
And the apple it holds its color when you cook it, and it's a really great baking apple. It's a little it's on the tart side, so here, let's give you a little
By the way,
taste.
Thank you to your wife. This is incredible. Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
It.
Yes, you are keeping it.
FYI. That's really good. Okay.
So an apple crisp recipe is super easy. It's just the So it's great for eating. It's great for cooking up.
Yeah.
One of our favorites.
Love it.
And of course, as you noted, the Rubinette apple, which is what we named our store after. So I love this apple so much because it reminded me of when I would go apple picking with my family when I was a kid. It has this perfect...
You had a wholesome childhood, didn't you?
Well, yeah, growing up outside Chicago, there wasn't a whole lot to do in the farm world, but this was one of the things that we could do. So I discovered this apple a number of years ago.
Oh, yum.
And it's got this really great balance of sweet, tart. It's crisp enough without being like teeth hurty.
Yeah.
And it's also...
it's so good.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So, you know, it's one of those like perfect apples.
But you wouldn't use this to make pies with, right?
Probably not pies. I mean, you could. It's not going to hold up.
Yeah, because it feels like this is softer than this tart one.
Especially if you leave it out, it's going to break down a little bit. But this is great for making apple sauce, which I also brought. So we got a whole bunch of apples at the orchard the other day, and we made a whole big thing of applesauce. No, this actually I made this.
No, get out.
I can do a few things in the kitchen, not much, but this is one of them.
Oh, yum.
And so you can use any apples for this. So you want to use a mixture of like softer apples that break down and then some harder apples that are going to keep their density. Good. One of my new favorite apples, which is one of the apples of antiquity that we were talking about, this one is called Ashmead's Kernel. And this is not a kid's apple. This is an apple only for grown-ups because it's, oops, sorry about that. It's nice and dense, and it's got a big, bold flavor. It's almost vinous, almost wine-like.
Okay, glad you explained that one term. Vinous. I'm going to use that a lot now.
Kind of like grapes. Big and tart, big and sweet. Just a lot of big, bold flavors.
It's good. Yeah.
This is great for juicing, for cider. You can bake with it too. It's really dense and it's going to hold up. But I like it for fresh eating. It's probably one of our biggest sellers right now.
Okay.
I'm also going to reference the Newtown Pippin. It's the other apple of antiquity. The Ashmead's kernel came from England. This one was planted by the settlers back in the 1700s. And the reason I like the Newtown Pippin apple is because it's a great substitute for Granny Smith. I find Granny Smith to be a little one-dimensional for baking, but this is a great baker. It's also great for juicing and fresh eating. All these apples you're going to find at the farmer's market and a couple of stands, or come to our store. And actually, we're going to have a big apple tasting this weekend.
Oh, fun.
So we're going to have all these apples.
It's interesting how all of these do taste very different. Yeah, and then now I can tell the difference between an apple that you can use in a pie or cooking versus one to just eat, right? Or put in a salad.
Well, yeah, and yeah, a lot of these apples are good for a lot of different things, but it's like kind of the flavor profile that you're looking for kind of determines what you want to do with it.
Oh, sure. And then
and this, I'm going to reference this one real quick. This was producer Tammy's favorite apple. This is the Crimson Topaz. We also brought a Crimson Crisp over here, which is a fairly new apple. It's delightful, delicious, it's snappy.
It's snappy. Yeah. It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah,
and
I just, if we have time, I just want to show one interesting feature.
Okay.
So this is a Belle de Bas scoop apple, another apple of antiquity. But I want to show an interesting feature. When you cut this open, you can see almost like this glossy color on the inside. I don't know if you can get that. There you go. So this is called, this feature is called water coring. And this is when there's a calcium deficiency in the apple. Water gets into the air pockets in it, and this is actually prized by Japanese culture, this water coring feature. It makes it a little bit more dense. It also makes it a little bit of very interesting type flavor.
Yeah, that's very different.
It is, and it's a great, this is a great baking apple. If you can find the Belle de Bas scoop, they're a little bit harder to find.
Can I just say, when you picked this up, I thought it was like browning, as in it was old.
Exactly,
but that's not the case.
It's not the case, and it's delicious.
Yeah, love it. Okay, thank you so much for all this. This is a great education in apples.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.
There's so many interesting different tastes.
Wow.